Welcome back. I'm your host. Today, I'm back with you about capitalism in the modern era. Now, this is a book unto itself, talking about how the internet broke the capitalist ideal. The that markets will sort themselves out, and the idea that automation will be replaced with skilled jobs in more technical sectors, that those jobs would gradually, that the old labor jobs would gradually be replaced by these new, that whole new fields would open up and would create so many jobs that there would be a labor shortage all the time, and that wages would increase, and that everyone would benefit because of all of the innovation that was going to be occurring, all of the advancements that were going to happen in society, all the increases in wages and skilled labor, uh, the increased education in general of the workforce. These were all things to be looked forward to in under the capitalist ideal. And yeah, well, we see how that's turned out, haven't we? We're on the precipice of millions of jobs being lost to automation. And honestly, nobody in politics is doing anything about it. Nobody's doing anything. That technology is progressing at such a rapid pace that we are set. I finally saw, I finally actually watched one of the matches between Lee Sedol and AlphaGo, the Google DeepMind challenge match, and it was incredible. I'm gonna watch the rest of them, but they are very long, hard to carve out that much time. But it's it's incredible, but it's also terrifying that something the moves that AlphaGo makes, they're so intuitive. Seeing the level of skill that AlphaGo plays at, being able to think so far ahead and to make moves that would seem unconventional, but to the most trained eye, and end up being huge winning moves at the end of the game. It's just absolutely incredible and terrifying because this machine showed intuition. Now, it took a lot to make this machine. It took a lot of data, took a lot of time. About a year and a half. A year and like 3 from the time when it started being developed to when it actually at all. Someone who had been playing for at least a decade. That's incredible and terrifying. And if a computer can perform a task at that level that requires that much intuition better than one of the best people in the world at it, we're in trouble. I mean, there's already news bots that basically, those cheap journalists that you would need who don't produce, the good artful pieces, the ones that just give you the information, you can fire them because now there are news bots and you can just have bot repost. It can like take clippings of things and summarize an event in like 1 to 3 paragraphs, publish it, and post a tweet about it. And uh, just uh, in this postmodern era, we are able to replace such huge swaths of labor suddenly all at once that the lower skilled jobs that you would need to later have a higher skilled job are no longer going to be available. You won't I'm guessing that pretty soon you won't even really need programmers except for like with the most high level tasks, because programming will be so easy, either with such a simple interface that it can be commonplace to perform programming tasks, or that AI will be able to basically, you'll be able to be like, hey, I want to develop an application that does this thingy, and this AI will be like, cool, oh, there it is, done, there you go, and you're just okay, okay. I mean, you can start to see that once things get going in the automation fields, that it's kind of hard to stop it, and that you end up cutting down your the structure of your company by basically cutting off the bottom of the pyramid. You replace the entire bottom of the pyramid, you know, your labor force, and then with AI, with robots, Amazon, like the Amazon robots in warehouses that move boxes around for shipping. Those things are fucking insane. It's insane how amazing. And you're like, and those replaced hundreds, hundreds of people, if not thousands. You do, I mean, if you are going in every warehouse and you're like, well, each one of these like five robots is each robot is probably like a person on a forklift for 24 hours. Then you start to add up the labor costs and stuff like that, and you're like, oh, that's cutting out a whole lot of unnecessary cost. But that's also a lot of people who don't have jobs. And then you're going to cut out the transportation, and you're cutting down on accounting. Accounting is a dying field because software is making it so much easier to automate. I mean, some of the software that I've seen does almost everything for you. You just put in receipts and invoices, and it does all the statements, balance sheet, and, basically does your payroll for you. And you don't need an accountant. You got this thing. You don't need to pay an accountant. You are the accountant. And it takes you like no time at all. It's just 5 to 10 minutes a day, putting in receipts and stuff, scanning a few things. Actually, you probably don't need to scan. You probably can just take a picture of it with your phone, and the connected phone app will automatically scan the text. Like, we'll scan the image, pull out the text, and we'll format it in a way that, that it's easy for your, put it in your books. You don't need accountants. Truck drivers. One day you won't need airplane pilots. So that may take a little bit longer, which is surprising. We trust rockets to computers, and we'll trust cars to computers, but we won't trust airplanes into the hands of computers. Though that argument will probably be the one used when they start automating airplanes and getting rid of pilots. they'll say, why do we trust? It's like, why would we trust our lives into the hands of people when trusting our lives in the hands of computers has gone so much better? Why are airplanes so special? And then they're like, oh, wait, we've got like automated flying things already that are really great at not crashing. And why don't we have planes? Why isn't my 747 flown by an Intel chip? Doesn't make any sense. And when you see how much pilots get paid, and co-pilots and stewardesses and stuff, like, oh, these guys make a good living. They make a good living. And I actually, now that I think about it, there probably was a push to automate airplanes, and then airplane unions were like, no. And so then, yeah, and that's what happened. But we haven't seen the realization of this capitalist ideal. Instead, what we've seen is, as you encourage capitalism in this era of increased automation, all you're doing is concentrating wealth into upper management, into stockholders' wallets. That's all you're doing, is you're just funneling money upwards. Because they can just cut off branches. They can just be like, automation will take care of this. And this. Whoosh. And you've cut down your entire organization by 30%. But you're still growing by 4 to 6% per year. Because automation. And those 30% of people, they make more money. Or not the 30%. The other 70% of people, some of them make more money. Some of them do not. A lot of them do not. The ones towards the bottom, or the remaining bottom, are stuck. Same wages that they've had over a decade ago. After nearly, like, about 2 to 4% inflation most of these. It's definitely starting to really be felt by the middle class. And the thing is that capitalism worked in an era of steel and good production manufacturing, where the more you made, the more stuff you made, the more money you made. Because the more stuff that you could make, the more stuff you could sell. If you could produce more steel, you could sell more steel. If you could produce more oil, you could sell more oil. That's what it was all about. But now we're in this era of like ideas and digital goods. We pay for so much that we don't own. We pay so much each month for nothing. For ideas and just services. That's basically all you're doing. Services and ones and zeros. Now, I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. I'm just saying that when suddenly it changes the supply and demand curve, because your supply is anything. You don't have a supply line. Your supply line doesn't exist. Actually, I think it's horizontal. Vertical. Because you can supply any amount, you can supply any quantity at any price to any number of people. And so then it's just a matter of how do you make the most, what price do you set things at to make the most money? And then driving traffic, of course, to make it appealing, all that good advertising. But the thing is that you're literally, it doesn't work. What you're doing is you're gonna centralize wealth into like one person's, into a few groups' hands. It's not about killing the corporate giants anymore with your new innovative idea. It's about getting an idea that's good enough, that gets big enough, and then you sell it to Google, or you sell your technology to Tesla, or somebody buys you, and then you retire, or you do another startup or something like that. You watch the cycle repeat. I mean, that's the dream now, and you see it more and more. All these acquisitions, these huge megalopolies that are vertical monopolies. Now the government is pretty good about horizontal monopolies, but they haven't been the vertical monopolies and the megalopolies. Things like Johnson and Johnson and Palmolive, Colgate, and other big, huge corporate. And the problem with capitalism in this kind of economy, where these companies are basically, they're like getting rid of a ton of their physical stuff. They're buying ideas, basically. They're shoring up their defenses against newcomers by buying them out. And then they don't need disruptive technologies. They are future-proofing themselves in a way, I guess. Because now, instead of spending money on research and development, they just buy some other company that might threaten them, and then they can either get rid of the idea or incorporate the idea. But it doesn't encourage having just a few big companies that are comfortable where they are and who could just buy basically more money by buying these profitable services, buying these profitable ideas. Just be comfortable and not push. If a huge company poured a lot of money in development right now, they could discover some amazing things. They could make a lot of money. But they already make a lot of money, and spending money on research and development is expensive and doesn't always produce results, or the results that you're looking for. And I mean, that's part of the reason why I'm such a proponent of universal basic income, is because it gives people the opportunity to innovate. There are people that I know that are so smart who spend so much of their week at a job that is not what they want to do, but they can't afford to do the research or to build the things that they want to do or to start the company that they want to, because they can't afford to. They don't have time. They don't have the money. Risky starting a business. You could end up going bankrupt and completely broke, in debt for the rest of your life. Or you could hit it big, But you see that the number of companies that are going bankrupt in the United States per year is more than the number of companies that are being started per year in the United States. And that we're at like our lowest numbers since the 1970s. Capitalism doesn't work in the internet age. It does not work in the postmodern era. It leaves people without jobs, without prospects, and on it just when you think about the way that capitalism works, when you actually like think about the ideals that it purports and the way that it proposes the economy will work under its ideals, when you bring them to their logical conclusion, not enough. It's not. Companies will eventually, and some sooner than others, will turn. They'll make bad ethical decisions to make more money. I mean, that's why there has to be regulation in the first place, is to protect people from corporations. But yeah, basically, capitalism now just doesn't work. Anyways, Flash Rant. If you liked the video, like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Facebook or on Twitter at Today I Rant About Flash Today I Rant About in reverse order to their respective social media websites. Oh god, I totally butchered this. Anyways, if you want to see more of my stuff, check out my video links on the left. I hope that I hypnotized you into believing me and my quote unquote communist bullshit, to quote my dad. And yeah. Until next time when I rant about something else my dad would hate.